we're here as part of Encore Education to talk to you as parents and community about the importance of school attendance. Some facts that we found on attendanceworks.com is over 8 million U.S. students miss nearly a month of school each year. 19% of high school students nationwide have chronic absenteeism. And poor attendance can influence whether a child can read proficiently by the 3rd grade or possibly be retained. So we're here to talk with you today about how we can work together to support the students in our schools and make sure that we're addressing all needs that could impact their absenteeism. So my name is Meredith Lloyd, and I am the school counselor specialist for Brunswick County Schools.
I'm Kim Young, and I'm a school counselor at Belleville Elementary.
I'm Erin Rakowski, a school social worker at Belleville, Lincoln, Town Creek, and Waccamaw.
And I'm Karen Baker, multi-tiered system support coordinator for Brunswick County Schools.
All right, so we're just going to start with some categories that are addressed to some of the most prominent reasons that students are absent. So one of the categories is students who cannot attend school due to illness, family responsibilities, and housing instability. So how can we help students in that category?
Well, to start off with sickness, obviously if a student is sick, having a fever or throwing up, we want them to stay at home, but lots of times students will say, oh, I don't feel good, it might just be a little stomach, feeling, so those students really need to come to school. So we certainly want to help the parents at all, whatever we can. If they can just call us, let us know what's going on, we can try to support the child when they do come to school.
And I think another thing to kind of bounce off of that are our students with more chronic illnesses, asthma being one of those that I come across a lot, is just making sure that as a parent they're staying in touch with our school nurse and setting up those action plans and having med orders on file so that the student can have medications such as breathing treatments, nebulizers at school so that we can help decrease the need for absences and have them in school more often.
Right. Well, Kim had mentioned that if they've got a fever or they're throwing up, we want them to stay home and recuperate. But it's also important to communicate with your child's teacher so that you can get resources that can be taken, that can be used at home. We've got access to lots of digital resources. I believe all of our students have access to Clever. We've got a digital library, but really communicating with your child's teacher on how they can stay on top of their schoolwork is incredibly
so they're not
important.
Feeling like they're behind when they do come back,
Right.
especially if it's only those couple of days.
Right. And notes are so important. Documentation is key. So another thing, I do a lot of phone calls in regards to absences just to check in with parents to let them know, because a lot of times parents don't realize how many absences their student has accumulated over a year. So I touch base with the parents, and I think it's key in situations like this where maybe housing instability or there's other factors playing into that, and staying in contact with your school social worker or your school counselor who have access to a lot of resources, not only in our school building, but also amongst the community. I work with a lot of key players within the community that have several resources as far as like rental assistance, food pantries, we have clothing closets at school, so things like that should never be a reason to stay home, because we have so many resources in our community that we can have access to.
And it comes up a lot that one of a strategy is to make sure that we are communicating as a team, that it should not be parents versus school.
Exactly.
We're all here to help the child be successful, so being that key person for someone as a school social worker or a school counselor for the parent to reach out to, I think is very important for us to constantly reiterate that we're here to work together, so that we all want them to be successful and graduate. So let's work together through the bumps that we hit along the way. The second category that's identified as a cause of school absenteeism is students who don't attend school to avoid bullying or unsafe conditions. So what are some experiences that you've had, or how is that addressed for your school buildings?
Well, we certainly want our schools to be safe and everybody to feel welcomed and comfortable there and inviting for sure. So if there is any type of bullying incident, we certainly want the parents again to inform us, either by calling us or completing the online referral form, and we can certainly help them out the best that we can on that. I feel like we're really lucky at Belleville. We don't have a lot of bullying, so that's a great thing at our school.
and just, the students, developing that rapport with them. And, we have a couple of small groups at Belleville, for example, where we meet with those students that are more of our high flyers as far as absences. And sometimes that comes up, and just developing that trusting relationship so that the student feels comfortable enough to come to you as an adult and speak to you about that, so that we can address the issue if there is one.
I feel like our small groups have really helped our students feel comfortable, having another connection at the school, wanting them to come to school. We've even given some a little job every morning that they need to do. They fill in their little sticker chart. They do their daily chart, and they have a job for us, whether it's wiping down our table, turning on our lights, sharpening our pencils, just that need to be at school to help us. I think it's really helped them.
And sometimes we don't know, students aren't going to always tell us everything at school. And so it's really important for when students are talking to their parents about issues that they communicate that with the teachers and the school, so that we will know what's going on in their lives.
Yeah, just having that great support system for them.
Yes.
And while you mentioned your specific setting, which is elementary, I think this could be true for middle school and high school as well. We do have social workers at the middle school. We have social workers and counselors at the high school. And we're, again, all there to support the child and make sure we're addressing any issues. So while you're specifically elementary, we don't want any child to feel bullied or in an unsafe environment, so we need to make sure that we are working as a team to address any of those situations. And all of our schools do have the online reporting system, or they can reach out to the school directly. All right, so the third category is students who, not that they don't necessarily see the value in attending, but they don't understand that missing just 2 days a month.
The importance of
Yeah,
it.
right.
Yeah.
That missing 2 days makes you considered chronically absent. So do you have anything that you'd like to add in terms of the importance of being in school and how that can impact maybe even with tardies, because tardies are a type of absence, so it's something that we need to address. So does anybody have something specific?
Well, it's the American Academy of Pediatrics that has stated that missing 10% of the school year is considered to be chronic absenteeism, and that's including sickness or not. So that's definitely something that we need to address. And missing 2 days a month is chronic absenteeism. And if you think about the 2 days a month, that's 12 hours of instruction that students are missing out on. And that 12 hours is going to put them further behind academically. And the research shows that children who are 2 years behind, it takes on average 4 years for a student to catch up to their same age peers academically. And that's assuming that they're not continuously chronically absent. So it's really important to have that understanding. And 18 days of school, that's 120 hours of instruction that students are missing out on. But it also impacts everybody else.
Right. And again, back to our small groups, one of the things that we utilize is a flow chart to show the students that it doesn't just impact them. It can impact their family, their teacher, and honestly, we talk to them about the influence on their peers as well, and developing those lasting friendships. Because if you're not there every day, your friend is not going to have that person to sit with at lunch or to play with at recess.
So they're going to find somebody else to go and play with, so that mental health again.
So that social piece is just as important, and they're missing out on that.
And it can impact the overall academic functioning within that classroom if you're constantly reviewing, because you have a large number of students who are chronically absent.
One of our first lessons in group.
And it's difficult to move forward if we need to back up and review to make sure everybody's mastered that level. So it can impact social and educational. I do want to address the tardies because that is a piece that while it might only be 15 minutes here or check out early here, it does add up. You are missing academics.
And that is so important. As far as tardies can be considered late arrivals or early releases. A lot of parents are not aware of that because they think once they meet that cutoff for I'm present for the day, that if I check my child out early, that it's not going to affect them. And actually, you have to consider it in this. They're still missing instruction time, whether that be in the morning or in the afternoon. And we work off of a pretty consistent schedule. So if every day they're being pulled an hour to 2 hours early, they're missing that same block of instruction every day. So you might as well count it as an absence to that period. So that is a concern, and as a district, we are trying to address that because in the past, tardies have accumulated. We're trying to come up with ways that we can decrease that.
Okay. Does anybody have any additional points?
No, I really have enjoyed our small groups. I think it really has helped the students increase their attendance, and we have seen that since the start of our group. So we're going to continue doing those things, and we certainly want, again, to be inviting and there and support for parents and the students.
Right, and then, you know, if there's a child who is struggling with wanting to come to school or chronic illness, then communicate with your school so that we can create a plan to help them be more successful.
Definitely.
Because it is all about working as a team. I know it's not always pleasant to get phone calls from me, but that is really, really my goal. I just want to work with you. Yes, exactly. You know, my goal is just to figure out what interventions we can put in place to make sure that your student is there and is successful. And I know that parents battle with the school avoidance or refusal, even as young as kindergarten and first grade. You know, but we've got, you know, Kim and I were just talking the other day about tough love. It is, you know, tough love is love too. And, you know, it's important for your kid to know the importance of being in school, even if you have to say, Mommy and Daddy could be in trouble if you don't go to school.
Blame us.
Yeah. But, you know, we just want to work with you.
All right, so we do have some resources linked on our website that you can look into. The attendance works. We have both elementary and middle school resources. We have an infographic about when to stay home and versus when to come to school. And we will have another Encore Education in April, and that will be focused on digital resources, which does connect to our topic of today of things that you can utilize if your child does need to stay home. Thank you so much.
Thanks.